Like we said in a previous question, humans are made to be worshipers. We are to live our lives in constant worship of God, meaning that we are to live in such a way that shows that we believe that God is God and that His ways are best. And in order for us to worship God rightly, we must know Him truly, which means that we must know Him as He is described in the Bible in the fullness of all of His attributes. And it is important that we know and understand all of God's attributes, for if we are deficient in any one of them, then our view of God is distorted and we will not be worshiping God as we should, which means that we wouldn't be living as we should. Because what we believe about God has a direct impact on what we do and how we respond to our circumstances. For example, God possesses the attributes of love, grace, and mercy. But we cannot forget that He is also a God of righteousness and justice and wrath. These attributes are not at odds with each other, but they beautifully exist together within the fullness of God, so that we see that His righteousness has been violated by our sin, and that violation demands justice, and that justice is expressed in His wrath. But because He is a God of love and mercy, He sent forth His Son to receive that wrath so that His justice can be satisfied, making us the recipients of His grace and His mercy and the imputed righteousness of Christ. Knowing each one of these attributes fully helps us live as we should, as we seek to keep from sin on the one hand, because we don't want to displease God. But on the other hand, knowing that we are loved by God and have been forgiven by Him, we want to reciprocate that love back to Him in a life of loving obedience that seeks to please Him. And that is just one small example of how His attributes are expressed at all times in the fullness of His being, to make God the glorious God that He is, as He is displayed in the entirety of the Bible, and how that is to flesh itself in our daily lives. Even though there are so many attributes of God, question 8 asks you to focus only on 6 of them, explaining not just their definition, but how they have practical implications for living. So again, when it comes to defining terms, you should look to a good systematic theology text, for they will help you give a brief description for each attribute. First would be wrath, which is the expression of God's hatred towards sin, because sin is an affront to His holiness. Mercy is God's goodness towards those in distress. Holiness focuses in on how God is separate from us, both as the Creator and as the one who is without sin. Omnipotence tells us that God is all-powerful, able to do all that is in accordance with His character and His will. Omniscience refers to the fact that God is all-knowing. Omnipresence tells us that God is present everywhere in the totality of His being. And when it comes to Bible verses, again, you are going to need to provide numerous references to adequately answer this question. Because these definitions, when you provide a good definition, you must also provide good biblical support for those definitions. Romans 1:18 is a verse that points to the wrath of God. Exodus 15:11 teaches us about the majestic holiness of God. Leviticus 19:2 points to His holiness as the one who is separate from sin. 2 Samuel 24:14 talks about His mercy. Psalm 115 verse 3 talks about His omnipotence, and Psalm 139 is a great passage that talks about both His omniscience and His omnipresence. A good outline for this answer could be to write 6 short paragraphs explaining each attribute and why they are important for counseling. If wrath is God's hatred towards sin, then both the counselor and the counselee must hate sin as well, being willing to confront it and fight against it with all of their heart, soul, mind, and strength. Mercy, again, is God's goodness towards those in distress, which means that the counselor is to show goodness to those caught in their own sin, as well as those caught in sinful situations. Holiness can be practical in both the increased worship of God and an encouragement away from sin. Omnipotence points us to how we can trust God in all situations. Omniscience can bring about both comfort and conviction. Omnipresence can bring about comfort and conviction as well, but also a boldness in knowing that God never leaves us nor forsakes us.